My name's Maritza, and I'm going to be presenting the phylum Bryozoa. This is the outline of the presentation. I'm going to be going over its phylogeny, some of its characteristics, and two of its major classes, the Phylactolemmata and Gymnolemmata. They fall within the Lophotrochozoans, more specifically the Lophophorids. We've learned about the brachiopods before, and bryozoans are closely related to the brachiopods. So what are bryozoans? In Greek, bryo means moss and zoa means animals. So they are referred to as moss animals because they resemble moss often. They have bilateral symmetry, they are triploblastic, and they possess a true coelom. Some of its main characteristics are its lophophore, which they use to filter feed. They have two main body regions, the mesosome and the metasome. They are sessile, meaning that they don't move, they stay in one place, and they are colonial. So its first main body region is the mesosome, which is made up of the lophophore and the introvert. The lophophore is made up of tentacles, which vary in number in different species, its mouth, and in some species, an epistome, which is a lobe that overhangs their mouth. Not all species have this. And the tentacles are ciliated inside and outside. These cilia create a downward current, which funnels food into their mouth. They mainly feed on phytoplankton. The second main body region is the suecium, which is where the introvert retracts into. The suecium is like its home. It's the wall of the organism. In the suecium, there is an orifice, which is the hole at the top where the introvert it comes out from. In some marine species, they do have an operculum, which covers off the orifice. They have a U-shaped gut, which brings their anus close to their mouth, but they are on opposite ends. Another word for the phylum Bryozoa is ectoprocta, which means outside anus. They are made up of zooids. Since they are colonial animals, they're made up of these tiny zooids that are about half a millimeter long. So I box an individual zooid. They have two forms of communication. So within a single zooid, there is a funiculus, which goes across their coelom. They're both used to nutrient transfer. And within zooids, there's an interzodial pore, which is located on their suecium. So if I go back here, I put a star on the suecium and the interzodial pore, or on the funicular cord and the interzodial pore. This is where they send nutrients to each other. So for reproduction and fertilization, they are hermaphrodites, which means they possess both sexes, female and male. And fertilization can happen inside or outside the zooid. The sperm comes out from these terminal pores that are located on the tentacles, and the egg can either come out of the coelom pore or stay in and get fertilized. The larvae of the bryozoans vary, but they all have these three characteristics. They all have a ciliated corona, an apical cilia, and a ventral sac. The ventral sac is what they use to stick to surfaces. So when the larva sticks to a surface, it sheds its ventral sac, and that's where the zooid starts coming out from. The first zooid that comes out from the ventral sac is called the ancestula. The class Phylactolemmata. It is exclusively freshwater. They have an uncalcified sericium, which means it's more flexible. And some are gelatinous, like this one on the right. It looks like jelly. They do have circular and longitudinal musculature, so they can move around. These do have an epistome, which is that lobe that overhangs their mouth. They are monomorphic, meaning that every zooid in the colony has the same function. They're all feeding zooids. Their purpose is to feed. And a unique feature about the freshwater bryozoans is that they have statoblasts, which are similar to the gemmules of freshwater sponges. But these do have chitinous valves, and which is just another layer of protection. And when they're ready to come out, they just break apart these chitinous valves. So this is the largest family in the class Phylactolemmata. It's the Plumatelidae. This one here is specifically the Plumatella repens. So the class Gymnolemmata. It's primarily marine. They have calcified or uncalcified sericiums, which sometimes they do have musculature, but most of the time they don't because they don't really move. These don't have an epistome, so that lobe that overhangs their mouth, and they are polymorphic, meaning that they have zooids with different functions. This is where the communication, the interzooidal pores, and the funiculus play an important role because this is where they feed non-feeding zooids get most of their nutrients through these communication structures. So this is the family Monobryozoidae, which is within the class Gymnolemmata. They are the only known solitary bryozoan, and they are rare. So here are my two questions. The first one is, which class in the phylum Bryozoa is exclusively freshwater? And the answer is class Phylactolemmata. My second question is, name one structure used for nutrient transport in bryozoans. And there could be two answers. One of them is the interzodial pore, and the other one is the funiculus. And that is the end of my presentation.